Okay, so in this video we're going to work on dividing fractions, right? And so we're going to start off with just simple fractions that don't have any mixed number parts to them. And the idea with dividing fractions is that in order to divide a fraction, we're going to flip the second fraction only. So in big red letters, I flip the second fraction only. And then once we flip the second fraction, we're going to follow the same rules that we used for multiplying. So in multiplying, we said you just multiply the numbers across the top, which we call the numerator, and you multiply the numbers across the bottom, which we call the denominator. Right? So the only new thing that we have to do is to flip that second fraction and then proceed like we knew how to do from the previous video. So I'm just going to scroll down to our example here. It says find the quotient, state your answer as a mixed number. So our statement up here says to divide, put them in improper form. Well, these are not mixed numbers, so we don't have to worry about that first part. Okay, and then it says flip the second fraction only. So I'm going to rewrite this entire thing, and I'm going to say that means that this is going to be 2/3. This one's not going to change. Okay, I'm not going to divide anymore because it says multiply. Okay, so now this is going to become multiplication, and the reason that it's going to become multiplication is because I'm changing this fraction right here. So this is going to become what we call a reciprocal, which is when we flip over a fraction. The reciprocal is the flipped over version. So after I've done that, right, it says flip the second fraction, then multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So this is just standard multiplication rules. So we're going to say 4 times 2, and that's 8. Okay, 3 times 1, and that's 3. Okay, so the answer to what is 2/3 divided by 1/4? Well, the answer is 8/3. And the only thing we have to do that's a little extra is it says state your answer as a mixed number. So I want to make sure that my answer is in the correct format. So if you remember what we did to put numbers in mixed number form is we said, okay, we're going to actually do 8 divided by 3. Okay, I'm sorry, 3 and 8. Okay, and we're going to say how many times does that go? Well, 3 goes into 8 twice. Okay, and that leaves 2 left over. And because this number is smaller than the 3, it can't go in anymore, so I'm going to say that means that I have a denominator of 3, and then the numerator is what's left. So we're basically saying we need 3 wholes in order to divide and get a 1, but I don't have that many, I only have 2 of them left. So I'm going to say this is the same as 2 complete whole, and then 2/3 of the next one, right? So in mixed number form, we'd say 2 2/3. Okay, so let's move on to our next problem. Okay, same basic statement up here, just reminding you about the rules. We're going to flip the second fraction only, right? And we have the same thing going on here. Okay, these are in mixed number form, so we're just going to flip the second fraction, and we're going to say 11/2 is going to stay exactly how it is. Division is going to become multiplication, and I'm going to flip the second fraction, which again, that the vocabulary word is take the reciprocal. Okay, so this is 11 times 5, 55. Okay, 3 times 2, or 2 times 3, which is the same, which is 6. Okay, and then I'm going to have to turn this into a mixed number, so I'm going to say let's do 6 into 55. Okay, well, I could do 9 times 6 is 45, so I'm trying to get as close as I can. 9 times 6, okay, is 54. Right, so it looks like it's going to go in 9 times, okay, and that'll give me my 54. Okay, and when I do my subtraction, I get 1 left over. Well, 1 is smaller than my divisor, this number on the outside, so I don't have another complete whole to do a division, so I'm going to say I have 1 left out of 6 total that I need for my next whole. So that's going to be the mixed number form of this improper fraction, so 9 1/6. Okay, so let's do one more. Okay, and this last example is here because we have now mixed numbers. So we can actually do the division easily. It's possible, but it's not easy to divide mixed numbers. So what we're going to do is, it says it up here, put them in improper form. So we're going to start off by putting them in improper form first, and then once it's in improper form, we're just going to do what we normally do. So remember, to turn something into improper form, we're going to do a multiplication. So I'm going to say 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so that's 12 parts of 6. So 12 plus this extra part, that's 13/6. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to say 3 times 4 is also 12. Okay, and then 12 plus 2 more gives me 14. Okay, so this is still division because I haven't flipped anything. Right? Remember, it turns to multiplication after we do a flip. And so let me move down real quick. Okay. So now that I have it in division and it's in improper form, now I'm going to flip. So I'm going to say 13/6 is going to stay like it was. Division becomes multiplication. And now I'm going to flip this second one. It's going to become 3/14. Okay. So I'm just going to remind you about a rule real quick that we're allowed to use. It's called cross-canceling. And cross-canceling is used because when you start getting to large numbers, like we have this 14 sitting here, and I don't want to have to deal with that. 6 times 14. What we can do is, if there's anything in the numerator and anything in the denominator that we could simplify, we're going to simplify. So as an example, for example, we could simplify 3/6, right? And we could say, well, if I divide this by 3, I get a 1. And if I divide this by 3, I get a 2, right? 3/6 becomes 1/2. I think most people are pretty good with that. Well, I can do the same thing right here. I say, hey, wait, I have a 3 here, right? And I have a 6 here. I can do the same thing with those. Let me just get rid of my check marks. Okay? What I'm going to do is divide this by 3 and say, oh, well, that becomes a 1. And I'm going to divide this by 3 and say that becomes a 2. And the reason that I'm doing that is because now I'm going to do 2 times 14, which is a little bit easier than 6 times 14, right? So 2 times 14 is 28. Okay? 13 times 1, well, that's pretty easy. That's 13. Okay? And here's the other nice thing is, if you cancel all of those common factors, like the 3 that we got rid of here, we know that our answer is already going to be reduced. 13 over 28 is a reduced fraction. It's not an improper fraction. Right? So this is a nice, simple answer. We don't have to worry about anything else. So that's a strategy you can use. You're welcome to just multiply and then deal with the much larger numbers, but this is one that will make your work a little bit easier.